So there are
Mm-hmm.
times where somebody would ask a question in the class, and if I'm not sure of the answer, I would say, let me check in, just double check, make sure I'm correct, and get back to you on this. But there may be some people who may have discovered some workaround for something that's not working for you, and that's where they feel comfortable speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
One question I had for you, and something you may have noticed over the past couple of years, is how do you feel about people who don't have their cameras on
Oh,
inside of as well?
well, go ahead. Tell me, finish the question. I have a strong feeling about that.
I'll give you just my quick opinion here. I want to see your opinion as well. I feel that people see this as a way for them to feel more relaxed during the classes, but also more engaged to ask questions, especially inside the chat. They don't feel like everybody's staring at them while they're asking the question.
Mm,
And so, but when people don't have the cameras on, and I've taught classes before with 16 to 20 people, and not one person would have their camera on. So it feels like sometimes like you're doing a podcast, and you know that somebody's out there listening, but it's only inside the chat where you can actually know that they're still there and still engaged. But what are your thoughts on that aspect of Zoom?
well, I have an opinion on everything. That's just my personality, but I like the cameras on. I like the cameras on because I it's a way of staying engaged. Now it's more difficult, as you know, when you're teaching because you don't get the full screen. I've got my documents or slides or whatever. Often I'm not seeing the whole thing, but I what I found is that in a class you'll have people that just don't engage. You have
Mm-hmm.
to constantly reach out to them, and when I can see their cameras on, it's easier for me because I see a facial expression or a reaction. If I don't have anything to work with, then I just feel like sometimes I'm leaving people out of the discussion. I'm not, if I were in the classroom, I would know how to do that through, I would see the body language, I would see whatever I need to see, and I could re-engage them. And so without cameras, I don't have any way of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer the cameras on.
Yeah,
I
I
understand.
go either way because I know sometimes if people don't have the cameras on, it could be because if the camera is on, it could be slowing down their system.
That's true. That's true. And I often tell
Mm-hmm.
people as a workaround to bad internet to turn the camera off. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But then come back in occasionally. I have strong feelings of much stronger feelings about it when it comes to meetings than I do about
Oh,
teaching.
yes. Yeah.
So in a meeting, if you have your camera off, well, I'm sorry, go away. I don't think you're engaged at all. I'm a lot less cut and dry when it comes to classes. My preference is the cameras on.
Yeah, one thing I like to do in classes to keep people engaged is I don't call people out. Like I don't say, Linda, what do you think is the answer to this? If I make an example of something, like say that if I'm saying I'm sharing a document, and let's say I share this document to Linda, and then Linda gives me this, then that person in the class would like, oh, he's mentioning my name, and so they feel like they're more engaged now in the class, so they're paying a little more attention, just in case if they weren't. So even if I don't see
Right.
their camera on, I still like
Yes.
to like call people's names as examples without actually putting them on the spot.
Don, that's really great. I found that also to be very effective because in the beginning of the class, often I try to find out what their goals are for the class, what
Mm-hmm.
their overall questions are, so I get a sense of who they are, and then that gives you a way to come back and say, David, this was one of your concerns, and here's something to
Exactly.
address it. But you're absolutely right. Um, but that is a challenge. That is a challenge I think everyone faces in the online classes is how to make sure that the people who are attending your class are engaged
Mm-hmm. That's
because you
one of
do
the
miss.
benefits of the. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I was just going to say you missed that. I missed the visual. I missed the body language visual. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of the chat is that if I ask people to introduce themselves inside the chat, then let me know your name, your department, and what's number one reason why you're here, or what's number one challenge you have coming into this class. And then during the class, I can scroll up to the chat and I can always check to see, okay,
Mm.
Dave said this, so here's where I can point this as an example and bring it back to Dave.
Yeah, that's true. I will admit that sometimes I find it challenging to manage the chat as well as the presentation as well as the visuals. Sometimes it's a lot to take in
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to go through your own material. So sometimes what I do is I print the chat out and and I
Mm-hmm.
have a way of referring to it. So yeah, lots of
And
challenges, lots of new challenges in this kind
and
of